In our last video, we successfully connected to the Zerodha WebSocket and got a live, raw stream of tick data printed to our screen. It was exciting, but it was just a flood of numbers. So the big question is, what do we do with all that data? Here's the plan. We're going to modify the Python script from our last session. First, inside our onTick function, we'll stop just printing the whole raw data. Instead, we'll pull out the specific last traded price, LTP. Second, we'll store a recent history of these prices in a simple list. Finally, with every new tick that arrives, we'll use our stored history to calculate the 10-tick simple moving average and print it alongside the current price. The number 10 is used here for illustration purposes only. This will let us see, live, if the current price is moving above or below its recent average. Let's jump into the code. Alright, here's the code we ended with last time. It connects and prints everything. The first change we need to make is right here, in the onTicks function. The ticks variable that Zerodha gives us is actually a list of ticks. Even if you're subscribed to just one stock, it comes in a list. So, our first step is to loop through it. Okay, let's break down the change. Inside onTicks, we now have a for loop. For each tick in the ticks list, we're accessing it like a Python dictionary. We're pulling out the value associated with the key last price. If you wanted the trading volume, you could use tick volume. Or for market depth, you could access tick depth. It's all in there. For now, we're just focused on the price. Let's run this. See? Much cleaner. We are now successfully parsing the raw data and isolating just the price. Let's calculate our moving average. To do that, we need to store the last few prices. We'll use the LTP history list we created earlier. We'll add the new price to the list. Make sure the list doesn't get too long. And if we have enough data points, we'll calculate the average. Let's walk through this logic. We append every new price to our LTP history list. We then check if the list has become longer than our desired SMA period of 10. If it has, we use pop0 to remove the oldest price, keeping our window moving. Finally, if the list has exactly 10 prices in it, we calculate the sum and divide by the length to get our average. We then print it out, nicely formatted. Let's run it and watch it work. And there you have it. For every new tick, we are now calculating a live, short-term, simple moving average. You can see the current price and its immediate trend right there. So in this video, we took a huge step forward. We went from just seeing raw data to processing it in real time. We're going to turn our analysis into actionable trading logic. Our goal is to implement one of the most classic trading strategies, the SMA Crossover. The logic is simple. When the stock's price crosses from below the moving average to above it, it can be a bullish signal suggesting it's time to buy. When the price crosses from above the moving average to below it, it can be a bearish signal suggesting it's time to sell. We'll modify our script to detect these exact moments and print a clear buy signal or sell signal to the screen. The flow will be tick arrives, calculate SMA, check for crossover, print signal only once. This makes it easier to understand how the logic flows. We're not placing orders just yet, but we're building the brain that will. Okay, here's the code we finished with last time. It does a good job of calculating the SMA on every tick. Now, we need to add the logic to compare the price to the SMA. A common mistake is to just check, is the price above the average, on every tick, but that would give us thousands of signals. We only care about the exact moment the crossover happens. To do that, we need to keep track of the previous state. Let's walk through these crucial changes inside onTicks. First, we created a new global variable, position status. This variable will remember whether the price is currently above the SMA, bull, or below it, bear. This is our memory. Inside the function, after we calculate the SMA, we add our strategy logic. The bullish signal check is key. if last price is more than the SMA and position status is equal to bear. This only becomes true for one moment, when the price is now above the average but our memory says it used to be below. That's the crossover. When it happens, we print our buy signal and immediately update our position status to bull so we don't fire the signal again. The bearish signal works the exact same way, just inverted. I've also added a line to set the initial status the first time we have enough data. Let's run this and see our signal generator in action. Okay, watch the logs. There, you see that? The moment the LTP crossed above the SMA, we got our bullish crossover buy signal. If the price now drops, we'll see the sell signal. And that is how you build a trading strategy. We are going to connect our trading signals directly to Zerodha's order placement system. When our script generates a buy signal, it won't just print it to the screen. It will send a real buy order to the exchange. This is the final step in creating a truly automated, end-to-end trading bot. From this point on, the code can execute real trades with real money. Please be extremely careful, test with a quantity of 1, and understand the risks before running this on a live account. Here's the plan. We'll need two main components from the KiteConnect library, KiteTicker, which we already use for the live WebSocket data, KiteConnect, which is the main object for interacting with your account. This is used for placing orders, checking your holdings, modifying orders, and so on. Our script will be modified so that when the bullish crossover happens, we'll use the KiteConnect object to place a buy order. And when the bearish crossover happens, we'll place a sell order to close our position. From this point, running the script will place real trades. Always use the minimum quantity of orders before live deployment. Okay, here's our signal generation script. The first thing we need to do is import and initialize the main KiteConnect object right alongside our KiteTicker. A lot has changed, so let's break it down carefully. First, we now initialize KiteConnect and pass it our API key and access token. This object is our gateway for actions. We've created a dedicated function, place market order. This makes our code clean. It takes the symbol and transaction type and uses kite.placeOrder to send the request. I've set it to place a regular MIS Market order for intraday trading. It's wrapped in a try and accept block, which is crucial for handling any errors if the order fails. The biggest change is in onticks. We've replaced our old position status with current position. The buy logic now checks if last price greater than SMA and current position is none. This ensures we only try to buy if we don't already have a position open. If the condition is met, it calls our new order function and sets our position to long. The sell logic is for exiting our position. It checks if last price less than SMA and current position is long. If we get a sell signal while holding a position, it places a sell order and resets our position to none, making us ready for the next buy signal. There is an on-order updates method, which communicates any changes in order back. While the on-order update callback provides real-time notifications for order status changes, you can also use the orders or order history methods to actively fetch the current status of your orders as seen in previous sections. This simple state management prevents the algo from firing off hundreds of orders. And that's it. If you run this script, it will watch the market, and the moment its conditions are met, it will place trades on your behalf. You have officially built a complete end-to-end automated trading system. Congratulations! This is a huge milestone, but it's also just the beginning. From here, you can make your system infinitely more sophisticated. You could add a stop loss and take profit to your orders, manage multiple positions at once, incorporate more complex indicators, or even add error handling to try and reconnect if the WebSocket drops.